Let's do it on three. 1, 2, 3.
One half a step too late or too early, you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. On this team, we fight for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know that's the difference between winning and losing.
Mean in the Green. It's right here for you.
That's football, guys.
Go Mean Green.
Welcome to the GOMEANGREEN.com Barbershop Podcast, dedicated to students, alumni, and fans that truly bleed green.
Don't give them room to breathe.
Follow us on Twitter at GOMEANGREEN and visit our website, GOMEANGREEN.com.
Love that.
Gotta love it, baby. Here we go.
Now, your hosts of the GOMEANGREEN.com Barbershop Podcast, Evan, Harry, and Ashton.
Hello and welcome to the GOMEANGREEN.com Barbershop Podcast. This is Evan.
This is Harry.
This is JD.
We're here to talk North Texas sports, primarily North Texas football. You know, for the past 3 games before this previous weekend, we had lost by a combined 13 points. Did not manage to pull it out against UTSA. Obviously, this is a big game. There was articles written by non-North Texas people about how this is the rivalry now, since you're not seeing the other rivalries in the state. This is a great state rivalry. Once again, we made a light push, but we couldn't pull through.
No, and it's sad when you look at the stats and see how, in some ways, we dominated them offensively, and Rogers' stats were much better than what Frank Harris's were, and so it's one of those head scratchers. It's like, how did we lose this game? You know what I mean? It's another close loss, and unfortunately, there have been too many of those this year, and they just seem to be piling up on this staff.
Yeah, another one possession loss. I mean, it's just like we talked about last week. I mean, it just seems like, we could be easily sitting here at 6-3 as opposed to 3-6, but this is another game that's been kind of the tale of the tape. The last 3 or 4 weeks is just slow starts and then a completely different team in the second half. I mean, it's if they put a full game together like they do in the second half, the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's you're looking at a completely different record. And we're sitting here having a completely different conversation at this point. But I think they have proven the last 3 weeks that this team is not far off from competing at the top of the American Conference, but right now, just not being able to put full games together. I mean, it's hard to be able to compete in this tough of a conference if you're not able to do that.
So, obviously everybody wants to point to the defense because we have consistently ranked last in Division I for the most of the year. This week we gave up 420 yards, 421, which was below our average, but it's still giving up a lot of yards. And I think one of the things, you can say what you say about the defense, but the stat that really stands out at this game, and I think was the killer to me, was the 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
That, and then I think Coach Morris mentioned at the press conference, we had them a couple times where it was like 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 15. And, the defense was just, one stop from getting off the field. And the next thing you know, they've got a 60-yard run, touchdown run,
right,
or whatever it was. It was just back-breaking plays like that when it was, the defense played good the first 2 downs, but then giving up big plays on third was really, I guess, kind of the backbreaker when it was all said and done.
Yeah, but we lost by 8, and there was 3 turnovers. I mean, they didn't have any. I mean, you're kind of going, when you look at 3 turnovers, you look at the way the defense gave up a few big plays, you're going, we lost by 8. What is this? It just seems kind of like mind-boggling. You would have thought with that, with the problems we had on the defense with the turnovers, that this game would have been way out of hand, and it just wasn't.
No, and I mean the 2 interceptions were, to me were, Morris mentioned in the press conference, they were kind of freak. I mean, you shouldn't have interior linemen on an out route, being able to bat the ball and pick off the ball like that.
And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not like that guy was nimble. It just happened that he knocked it up in the air and it landed right in his lap. I mean, that's clean living. That's what that is.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at the box score. I mean, if you didn't watch the game and you're like, man, Rodgers 2 interceptions, finally, he finally, made some bad passes. But when you watch the game, you're like, it wasn't like he was throwing in double, triple coverage. I mean, he didn't have, no Dak Prescott type interceptions. I mean, both of them were batted balls that were kind of freak plays by the defense. But yeah, I mean, it's as bad as the defense played. You had 3 turnovers as well. At the end of the day, you're still in that game. I mean, it was still another winnable game against a very tough opponent.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, again, this is going to be the season of, could you, would you, I mean, you're just going to be second guessing this season. Cause I know JD and I had a conversation just a couple of weeks back where we were like, my gosh, if the ball had bounced our way this year, we might be 7-1, or you know what I mean. It's just it's mind-boggling.
I can't think of another year, Harry, where that it's been like just so close, and especially when there's such a blaring thing like that defense ranked where they're at. I mean, it's like how can we be? If we were playing 25% better on the defensive side, I feel like we could won. Just like JD said. We could easily have a totally different record. It could be totally switched, and it looked like a different season. It's really surprising. It's just really disheartening. But, we had 459 yards. We knew the offense, but, they had to score every time they had the ball. That's really what we needed to see. Passing yards, we had 270. UTSA had 130. I thought that would have been higher. What do you think about that?
I mean, yeah, you would think it would be higher, but I mean, looking back, this game was, I feel like, one of the first games that we've played UTSA in the last, I feel like 7 years as Frank Harris, the quarterback, that Frank Harris didn't beat us. I mean, it was the running game. I mean, I feel like anytime you go up and you give up 1 yard shy of 300 yards rushing, and you're not playing a team that's a naval academy or Air Force or Army or something, I mean, you're not going to win very many of those games. So I mean, I think the Russian defense was so bad that, Frank Harris wasn't asked to do much. He just threw the ball 25 times and, only completed 13 of them. But like I said, this was not a game that, Frank Harris is not the reason UTSA won. I would say the Russian attack was the reason.
That's the thing. To me, this is the first time we've played them a long time where Frank Harris was not a huge part of the equation. There's a lot of times where we would have we could say that, oh, he just was amazing. I just don't feel he handed the ball off. They made some good defensive plays. They get the turnovers. I think they were just balanced. There wasn't anything crazy going on that he did. So, like you said, he's been around a long time and we probably won't see him again, but still.
Yeah. And he was limping around at the, in the second half. He's not healthy. I'm telling you, he is not the player he was, like last season and years before. I mean, he's had his health issues for sure, but I can tell he's not 100% right now.
Right.
Right. And I mean, like you said, I mean, we talk about the defense and nauseam. I know that the GOMEANGREENs had their pitchforks out for a couple of weeks. I mean, UNT Twitter, everybody's, on the fire Capone train. I wrote a piece the other day. I mean, I don't. If it was my choice, I'm giving them another season. I'm giving them a full off season to try to get this defense turned around. But even as bad as the defense has been, I mean, we can all sit here and say, we are statistically the worst defense in the country this year, which is only one team gets to say that, and we are the worst. But at the same time, we're sitting here 3-6 with 5 losses that were one possession games. So, I mean, it's we're, what is it, 130 or 132, whatever last place is. I mean, if you can just get the defense to, 100. 110, we don't need an Iowa, top defense or, Georgia defense. I mean, we just need to get a stop here and there. And you're looking at a completely different.
If you get us into that percentile, that's what I was saying. If you just get us a little better, that's going to make up some of that. Obviously a lot's been made of the defensive scheme. A lot's been made about the right players in the right spots. If this continues this way and we, have the same kind of ratio here of wins versus losses, and we're still dead last in defense at the end of the season, what do you do?
I mean, my argument on the board was, Bennett. We all love Phil Bennett. I've talked to him. I had him on the podcast. He's probably one of my favorite coaches of all time. But I mean, Coach Bennett and them, their first year didn't come in here and light the world on fire. I mean, I think if we remember correctly, I think they started off 0-6 or 1-6 that year. It was really year two that his defense really took a step forward. And I really think that, we look at this North Texas team and some of these guys that have been here for a while. I mean, this is their third, fourth defensive coordinator in the last 5 years. I would really like to see us, give Capone a year to be able to get the system in place, but mainly get the people, the players that fit his system. I mean, I know that they didn't go out and hit the portal probably as hard as they should have, but at the same time, you got to think it was January before Coach Capone even got on campus. And at that point, you've already missed, early signing period. There's a ton of guys that are off the board at that point. And then, not only the guys we lost last year, but then there was late portal entries. I mean, I think if you put a Larry Nixon, a Deshaun Gaddy, a Cam Robertson, you put two of those guys on this defense, I think that's, those two guys are talented enough that, we're potentially not last. Maybe we are 110, 105, and, maybe we're looking at a completely different season. But there was a lot of things that I think went against this team. And now, Coach Capone may have a full offseason and they may still be last place next year. And I think at that point you pull the trigger. But I think benefit of the doubt, the system he came from, the stops he's made before that, I think it's definitely worth, letting this thing play out a little bit.
And I think UNT fans need a reality check. I mean, I think we're paying him like $475,000. And if I was to bet, I don't know this for a fact, I bet you he has a 2-year contract. So, I mean, are we going to buy out an assistant after not even a full season? That's tough. That's rough. But I will tell you that I've been on the board as well. And, I mean, the natives are restless. I mean, the pitchforks are out right now.
Well, in this era of recruiting, in this era of trying to get, with the portal and everything else, to me and a lot of people, I think there's always the thought in the back of your mind that is there going to be some players that are going to get in the portal because they're like, look, I got better options. We're going to do the same defense again. I don't have time to wait around another year to see if this is actually going to come together. And in the same spot, are we going to be able to get players to come in that look at the portal and go, oh, North Texas needs some help on defense? Or are they going to go, I see other guys jumping ship? I mean, to me, it is a very precarious position to be in.
I think we're going to see a lot of guys hit the portal, that may not have a choice. If you've been here 2 or 3 years and you're not seeing the field, then, make room for somebody that can. And I think, like you said, I think one of our big selling points to the JUCOs and transfer ranks is our defense is dead last right now. If you're good enough, come in here and play and you get a chance to get some playing time early on. I think that's going to be a big selling point. Because we've got the facilities, you're in a great conference. You're getting to play on a team that's, has one of the best offenses in the country. So I think, like I said, I think they've got a lot of things to sell right now as a staff. And I think it's a great recruiting staff. I've said that before as well. So I'm interested to see if, I think it was Bill Parcells that said, if you want me to cook dinner, let me go buy the groceries or whatever that saying is that Bill, I'm pretty sure it was Bill Parcells that said that. But yeah, I would like to see now if they go out there and, bring in 20 different guys, transfers, JUCOs, and the defense still sucks, then, you at least gave them a shot. But I think they do have some things to sell at this point.
All right, so we're coming in. We got a Friday game this week against SMU at SMU on a Friday night. SMU is, I think, what is their record now? 7-2, 5-0 in conference. They are looking good, and they've scored 31 points so far in every game. Not the team that I want to be coming up against right now when we're still licking our wounds week after week. They've got a strong offense. Can we score points against them? I guess that's what we're doing. Can we score enough points to keep this game close? And I don't know. What are you guys thinking about them?
I think we can score enough points. I don't think we can hold them enough times. I think, and again, SMU is the cream of the crop. I think they're going to win the whole thing this year. And I'm sad about this because, I mean, this is the last time we'll probably ever play them, for a long, long time. I'm sure y'all heard they ended the series with us. So anyway, I kind of look at this as I'm not too excited about it because I don't think the odds are in our favor. I'm just going to put it to you that way. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we pull it off. But like someone posted on the board, the last time we won a game against them in Dallas was a long time ago.
Yeah, I think 12 games there we've lost in a row playing there or something like that. I don't remember.
I wish I felt better about the defense because if I did, I would feel like we'd have a fighter's chance because of how good
the offense
Chandler Rogers. I mean, Chandler Rogers, guys, put on the NIL alarms. This guy is really good.
Yeah.
He's one of the best quarterbacks we've had in a long time. So I would say, you've always got a shot with him at the helm. I would say if SMU turns the ball over like we did last week 3 times, who knows? Crazier things have happened. I hope we win.
Yeah, I mean, we'd all love to see him win against him.
SMU's quarterback, I think, is a game time decision. I know he got hit pretty hard last week. I think it was a concussion, so I think that will be something to watch. They do have a very good freshman quarterback, but I mean,
from South Oak Cliff,
that should make me feel better. Mm-hmm. But anytime we play a backup quarterback, it never makes me feel better. Anytime we play against a second string quarterback, even third string, I'm very skeptical.
Hey, Cal this year. Cal's a perfect example. That was a backup quarterback.
Backup quarterback. Never forget that Air Force game in Colorado. So
I did want to point out something, and this kind of
go ahead.
Let me go ahead. Oh, I was wanting to just point out something. I know we're really, frustrated with Capone and my argument that sometimes it takes a little bit to build. SMU hired a new defensive coordinator last year, Scott Steinmans from Liberty, and last year SMU's defense was ranked 119th. They were actually 9 spots behind North Texas. This year they're ranked 9th. So, I'm not saying we're going to make a 110-point jump next year. But like I said, SMU could easily fire their defensive coordinator last year, gave them a year, let them build through the portal. And that's the biggest difference between SMU's team last year and this year is that defense went from, bottom 10 to top 10 in 1 year.
All right. So
it's going to tell us a lot about Eric because it's Eric's hire. It's probably his most important hire. So at the end of the day, is he going to make that big of a admission in his first year that he made a mistake? I'm doubtful.
Well, I just saw the Dallas Morning News posted 12 minutes ago that Preston Stone has to miss the North Texas game. Kevin Jennings will start.
Okay, there you go.
Breaking
news. Be interesting to see what the line is based on that decision because he's talented, but he's young. That gives us an opportunity, I would say.
No. So we've got 3 games left. We've got SMU at SMU. We're at Tulsa, and then we play UAB in Denton on the 25th. This is still not. I mean, this is better than playing the whole Tulane, Memphis, UTSA, SMU corridor. But Tulsa and UAB looks better to me. But it's still a rough going towards the end of the season and licking our chops and moving into next season. So let me back up a little bit, and we keep talking about the defense. And since we're kind of don't have a whole lot to say about what happened the other day, everybody kind of knows about it. Let's talk to the people that mainly aren't on the board all the time, overanalyzing everything like some people do, JD Harry. But so what is the issue? What is the controversy with this defense? Why is this so hard for people to grasp? This particular defensive scheme.
They don't like the formation, the 3-3-5.
And why? Why is that?
At times it doesn't get any pass rush. At times it seems that it's not strong against the run. It doesn't seem like the personnel matches that we have. Like we don't have the right guys for the positions. You you need a big, huge, giant guy in the middle to stop things up. And I mean, we got a good player there, but he doesn't take up space. I mean, there's just a lot of reasons. I'm sure JD can talk about the positives. There's a plus side to that defense as well. And, given the right personnel, it could potentially work.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got a lot of guys playing out of position right now. I mean, Mason Richards is not your typical, 3-down lineman. I think you've got a lot of young guys out there. I mean, Wesloski's your starting middle linebacker. I mean, he's a freshman. He's made some plays this year, but at the same time, he's still a freshman. I mean, I think the main thing is getting the size up front. I mean, I think Roderick Brown has played great, but I mean, you're not most of the time when you're going up against the 3-man, front, your nose tackle is not 280 pounds. I mean, I think he's been super undersized this year. But I mean, even Jeff Traylor at halftime Saturday said that, North Texas nose tackles whipping their center's ass. So, I mean, you got to give him credit. I mean, he's playing great.
He is.
Yeah, but I think if you get a 320-pound, nose tackle and you're able to move him to one of those outside defensive line positions,
Bingo.
We're talking about completely different, look. But yeah, I mean, I think the problem with the defense right now is not only, you got youth, you lost a lot of experience off that team last year. I think it was 5 of their top 7 tacklers last year we lost between graduation and portal. Kevin Wood, got injured in the spring and he's still not to where he used to be. I mean, you got to give him credit for fighting through and rehabbing and battling back, but he's not to where he was last year. So, yeah, I mean, and like I said,
so how much – oh, go ahead.
No. I mean, I just think and I can sit here and make excuses all night. I mean, we're still last, but there has been times that, I think there's a play that, and I don't remember who the player was. I want to say it was Linder, but, it was like on the 5-yard line and they run a play and the hole's wide open. It's 1-on-1 and their running back just blows over us. I mean, you can't blame that on the defense coordinator. If you got a guy in the hole and they're going heads up, I mean, that's a matter of Jimmy and Joe's.
Gotta win that, man.
Yeah.
So because of the youth and because of the people we lost last year, I mean, is it more of the scheme with the players we got, or is it a situation that doesn't matter the scheme with the players we got? They're too young. We don't have the size. We don't have the guys in the right positions. We've got to switch that up. I mean, or is it just a combination of all the above?
I think and I know somebody on the board was talking about, Phil Bennett was back. Well, talking to him, and I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but I don't think Phil Bennett was coming back. I mean, he was retiring. Like, he was a 2-year guy. He was coming in here helping Seth, and he's riding back off in the sunset. If you would have kept Gush here, he's done a good job at Incarnate Word. He's been a successful defensive coordinator. If you'd have kept the thing running, maybe he would have knew some places we were weaker in than, say, Capone, who, just got here and got at spring ball and then kind of get to see what you got. And by that point, it's too late. I mean, you can't go rebuild a defense after spring practice. So, yeah, that might have been. But I still think if the 11 that you ran out there Saturday, it doesn't matter if you're a 4-man front or a 3-man front or, it doesn't matter the defensive coordinator. I think we're still,
undersized.
Undersized. We don't have the depth. I mean, we're not able to. I think they've tried to experiment with a 4-man front. It's been successful, but I just don't think we have enough bodies. I mean, Enoch Jackson was a guy we got from Arkansas. I think he left the team after game 2 or 3. You've got some injuries. But yeah, I mean, you lost a lot of guys. I mean, Tom Trebe was a guy that got injured and retired. Cam Robertson's at SMU. I mean, we can sit here and talk to nauseam about, if you had 1 or 2 of those guys that left or got injured, potentially it could help. But yeah, I think that there's, like I said, I really don't think the defense you're running right now or the coordinator would be able to improve much. I think we're going to see it. I mean, I think we're seeing it in the offers that are going out. I mean, we offered a couple more JUCO guys today. I mean, we're going to see 20 new faces on the 2 deep next year on the defensive side of the ball. I really believe it. I mean, and if we don't, then, they didn't do a good job recruiting. And then I think you definitely, start looking at who the next defensive coordinator is going to be at that point.
Hey, there was one good question just to interject real quickly from Brian Martin in the chat, the live chat. JD, he said, where is Sifu Leota? The linebacker that was supposed to do so much for us and stuff. Is he injured or what? Where is he?
I believe he's injured. I believe the practice I went to, I'm pretty sure he was in street clothes on the sidelines.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So he's another guy that could potentially help us that's not able to, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I keep forgetting that comment section is over there.
But one thing I will say, the season's lost. Yes, if we had, won the FIU game, we're still battling for a bowl. We could still make a bowl. You upset SMU Friday night, you could still end the season at 6-6. So it's not the season's not over with yet. But looking at some bright points, we do have some young guys. I mean, 3 guys that played the most defensive snaps last week: Evan Jackson, freshman safety, Javen Anderson, freshman safety, and Ethan Wozlowski. I mean, that's some youth that you're getting in and getting some major playing time here and major experience year one. So, I mean, that's only going to help them moving forward.
For
I
sure.
feel like there's a lot of guys that are freshmen that I've seen playing that bodes well for the future as long as they're good but not too good. And you're looking forward to that.
And what about, Chandler Rogers and Jamori Macklin? I mean, that's as dynamic a quarterback receiver deal in the country. I mean, so you're right to point out the positives there, JD, because we focus too much on the negatives, but the positives are this offense has been spectacular. I know at times it's had its struggles through the year, but the upside on this offense, you've got to feel really good about in terms of being able to, compete in the American Conference. That's to me a real positive.
Well, I think it seems to me that every time I turn around, different people are catching the ball. Landon Sides,
Yep.
Blair. I mean, I feel like I'm having to constantly look and say, wait, who caught the ball? What number was that? And who is that? And freshman? I mean, that's I don't think it's just one star receiver like we have seen in the past in some years that is the person that they've got to go to. I mean, you look at the stats here and 5 receptions, 4 receptions. It's spread out the top 3 pretty evenly, and then you've got a smattering of a few others in there. But there is.
Yeah, we didn't even have our top. Our top receiver was out of this game.
Yeah.
So even with that hindrance, we still had very equitable, like you said, distribution across a lot of different players.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the things we're kind of hitting on. I mean, we've talked about it before, but I mean, I'm not sitting here. I mean, I think that it gives me hope. Yes, we're sitting here 3-6, and I'm trying to be as positive as I can. But I mean, with the worst defense, with the injuries we're talking about, being, not having a full roster at this point, we did take the 3 best teams to the wire. I mean, Tulane's a team that's probably going to be playing in a New Year's, Day bowl game. Looking like they're probably going to win the conference, and we took them to the wire. And it's like, this is year one. I think that it was with everything the way it worked out last year, when Morris not getting here till after early signing period. I mean, I can't reiterate enough how hard that was that, when he's hired, we missed a whole recruiting cycle because the early signing period is the new signing period. I mean, there was thousands and thousands of kids off the board at that point, thousands of transfers that were already signed. I mean, they were behind the 8 ball when they got started, and still, this team is, 1 or 2 plays away from winning just as many games we did last year in Conference USA, and Americans twice as hard, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Eric, he showed signs this year that he can really make a difference. I think, he's got an upside that is got a lot of potential. And so if we can just get this defensive thing addressed, you know what I mean? It seems like we're close to getting to be the complete program we want it to be. And I've not lost any faith in Eric Morris. I think Eric Morris is, I think in a not too distant future, we're going to be saying, how are we going to hold on to Eric Morris? Because I think he's got a huge upside. And, we just got to get this defensive thing addressed.
All right, so we're playing SMU this Friday night, 8 o'clock, late game. Kind of weird. It feels like I'm watching a West Coast game on a Saturday night. But if we're one thing I think we have to do, I'll add, you guys each add one. We've got to play the first quarter, and this is brought up by Z-Man on the board. We've got to play the first quarter like it's the last quarter. We can't score all at the end. We've got to score on every possession. we got to get those points early and keep them going through the game to keep up with what the defense could let through. So we've got to score. If we're going to keep it with SMU, we got to score early, and we can't go 3 and out.
Yeah. I mean, they got to come out. And Morris had a kind of funny comment in his press conference, instead of doing the pregame warm-ups, coming out there and scrimmage and pretending like, so when the kids go to the first quarter, they're actually pretending like it's halftime and coming out in the second half, in the first half thinking it's the second half. That was
right. No, I agree there. What other keys do we got to do against SMU? Obviously, we got a backup quarterback. I don't know much about this guy. Passing, is he going to hand it off a lot? I don't know what we're going to be looking at, but we got to capitalize on his first game jitters, hopefully.
He's played a little bit.
Well, I mean, talking about starting, I think isn't this his first start? Yeah.
Well, their last game, remind me who they played last time, JD. Anyway, he came in after the other guy got injured. We got Rice, which, by the way, Rice gave him a hell of a game.
Yeah, they did.
I'm glad we're not playing Rice this year but anyway, the thing I would say about him is super raw talent. All my inside sources over there tell me that the guy's got big arm, tons of talent, which is kind of sad because we were that close to landing him. If you remember, JD, I mean, we were that close to landing him. But anyway, I think he's raw and he could make mistakes and he could turn the ball over. So that gives us, if you were thinking SMU is going to just be a blowout, that gives you I think a ray of hope.
Yeah, I think that I mean, it's hard to say, but I mean, I definitely think you got to figure out some way to slow down the rushing attack, because even with Preston Stone was in there, he's a great quarterback, but I mean, they've got a three-headed monster in Wheaton, Johnson Jr., and Knighton that, I mean, they're averaging over 100 yards a game this year. Wheaton being a Alabama transfer, but yeah, I mean, I think that's the key to the game is Jennings being a rushing quarterback adds another threat back there in the backfield. But yeah, I'm hoping North Texas figures out some way to scheme to. I mean, I know there's no way to shut down the running game completely, but at least slow it down enough to be able not to make it a track meet.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put pressure on the quarterback, make him make decisions. Because honestly, if I was them, I would just try to run like you said, they could just line up and run the ball at us until we stop them. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, but I think he's going to be more. They're both young quarterbacks, really, but I think gives us some opportunities for turnovers and things like that. I mean,
they need to throw the ball.
That's exactly right.
We need the ball in the air and try to get a turnover, because if they can run it up the middle over and over again,
that's exactly right.
It's going to be a long night.
And that's where people are going to complain when we have three guys lined up in the front line and they're running the ball on us. It's like, why are we in this? That's one of I think the weaknesses of this defense right now.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So before we get into what we think the score is going to be, I want to lighten it up just a little bit, since the game, I tailgated this game. The weather couldn't have been any better this weekend to go to the game. It was awesome. It was a perfect temperature, 70. I mean, it was great. But I got two game complaints. All right. And I love the whole atmosphere. I love everything about the games, but I don't understand why a t-shirt cannon has to malfunction so frequently and always get jammed full of shirts. There's got to be a better way. Or is this just something that always happens with the t-shirt cannons? That drove me crazy the other day. And then the main one is, one of the best things we have in North Texas is the North Texas chant. And if that's organic, that's one thing. They first tried it with the players up on the board going North and then Texas, and then that's all you could hear was the player. Well, now you've got announcers on the field doing it. The problem is all you can hear are these ladies screaming, and you can't hear the chant, and nobody wants to chant when they are screaming. And I just don't understand it. It drives me crazy. And I'm like, this seems like such a great thing. Now, on the positive side, whoever was doing the music selection where when there was a bad call by the ref and they'd start playing a song, like "Say It Isn't So," or there was some good little witty responses by the music playing, whoever was playing the little clips after a call or a penalty. I thought that was done really well. So I don't like the chant deal. Let the cheerleaders get back up with the signs. They can figure that out. Cheerleaders can do just fine with it. They did it for years. Why do we have to try to change it? And then keep up the good work with the funny little songs being played. So those are some comments I wanted to bring up on the game. I thought it was a good time as usual there, and the tailgating was awesome. So.
Hey, the chant's great, but the chant has always needed to have a pattern and an ending.
Yes, the band starts playing or whatever.
Going north until,
it dies out.
Fading off. Yeah.
Now we don't even get that. That's the problem. We don't even get that now because we never have a chance because it's either on the PA system or something like that, and the crowd doesn't want to get into it because you can't hear them saying it.
That's even worse problem, really.
Yeah, it is. So anyway. All right, that was my hot 2 cents there on those. All right, so let's talk about scores. What do we think we're going to do against SMU?
Do you have our note cards from last game? How did we do?
That's what I was just looking for. All right, so JD said 1,000 yards total in the game. UTSA 35, North Texas 38. I said 1,200 yards, UTSA 35, North Texas 38. Harry said 999 yards. UTSA.
I have to relive this again.
Harry said UTSA 28, North Texas 31. So, we were all wrong. Nobody's close, although you were pretty close with the 28 to 31. I mean, it was 29 to 37. I guess that was probably the closest. But there wasn't 1,000 yards in the game. And it was below the 999. So Harriet's $1 bid was the closest there. So I'm getting a new Post-it note. I'm filing that one away, and let's talk SMU here. A good SMU team, which is going to make this tough, but where are my notes? Here we go. All right. Somebody shoot. Harry?
I'm going to say.
Actually, JD first, since Harry went.
Okay, JD first.
I'm going to say, and I'm going to change it up this week because I think I've picked North Texas each the last 3 weeks. I'm going to say 38-34 SMU.
38-34 SMU. All right. Harry?
35-17 SMU.
35-17 SMU. Wow.
Sorry.
He's thinking a lot of that SMU defense.
Sorry, guys. I hate to do it.
All right. I'm going to say I think this is going to be a higher scoring than what we've seen here. I'm going to say SMU scores 45 and we come into 42. I'm going to say that our offense really clicks, but they're going to hang a lot of points on us.
Man, that would be so depressing to lose that close to another game. I mean, can you imagine?
But I think that's the North Texas way. Let's just rub a little salt in the wound. Let's in the wound. That's what it is.
Let me. Can I ask one question real fast before? Actually, Evan, you give your prediction first, or I'll ask my question.
Oh no, I did. I said 45-42 is a high. Okay. Thanks for.
Would you rather watch a team that's losing 37-29, 38-34, or go back to the McCarney era 17-14 losses? Which would you rather sit through as a fan? If your team has to lose, which game would you rather sit through?
Well, I think it's the whole reason why so many people don't like soccer. They want to see a lot of scoring. So, yeah, I mean, it's obvious. You want to see the ball thrown around, and you want to feel like you're almost there. You're so close. We scored so many points. It was almost there. We just couldn't pull it together, Yeah. But what we haven't seen this year, I'm trying to remember. I'm looking at the other scores. When was the last time we were really blown out this year?
I think it was game 1 against Cal.
That was it, 58-21. All the rest of them were
one possession
depressingly close.
Yeah.
Florida International, 7 points. Louisiana, we beat Louisiana Tech. Navy, 3 points. Temple, we beat Temple. Tulane, I mean, that was a little bit more but that still was 7 points. I mean, the Cal game was the only one that we didn't keep close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and we only scored 21 points there. That was the lowest score we've had.
But remember, the Cal game, we didn't even have Chandler Rogers at quarterback. I mean,
right.
Or and FIU.
Yeah, if we'd have had him at quarterback, that could have changed that game somewhat. I still think Cal probably would have won, but at least would have been more interesting. That
was our lowest scoring game, 3 touchdowns against Cal, 21 points. After that, then it was 24 against Navy. Other game, we've been higher into the 30s, and I mean, we've got it.
Don't get me started. I mean, Navy was just, how did we lose that game? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
That was just total.
It's going to be one of those seasons. I want to see the final, what opponents and everything. You take out that Cal game, and it's going to be like, wait, what? How did this even happen? But and with a last ranked defense. So anyway, all right. Well, let's don't beat a dead horse. Game's going to be in 2 nights on Friday night. Excited to watch that. After that, we have the Tulsa game back to Saturday at 2 p.m. away. And we bring it on home for the last game on November 25th. Always a great game on Thanksgiving weekend in Denton. So there's what we've got to look forward to. Anything else, guys?
I got to give a shout out to the men's basketball and women's basketball teams, both with great starts to their season. The men, you say Northern Iowa, who's that? They're a really good basketball team. And to pull that off and give Ross Hodge his first career win as a head coach, was as a Division I head coach. I mean, it was super awesome. So I got to give a shout out there. And then also Mean Green Collective is blowing and going. Thanks to all the generous donations we have received. I've got more to post up tomorrow that just came in today. So anyway, meangreencollective.com. We'd love to have you join us.
Yeah. And shout out women's basketball too. They broke the scoring record first night. 119 points or something, like 109 points, whatever it was. It was a school record. So pretty impressive start for Coach Burton, another North Texas coach getting a win in his first game. So yeah, I mean, basketball season, and it was the men's basketball. It was fun watching some of those new guys, Jason Edwards, coming off the bench, getting 19 first game. And then of course, Aaron and Ruben. I mean, those dudes could go down as probably the best 2 basketball players to play for North Texas. So yeah, looks like exciting basketball season. It's just getting geared up. So looks like it could be an exciting year for both of them, both teams.
Right around the corner. It'll be here before we know it. Only 3 football games left. So, all right, with that, we'll shut her down here after 45 minutes. Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.